One, two, three. Mic check. Mic check. One, two, three, four, five, six. You good?
No, you didn't count to 10.
7, 8, 9, 10.
Okay, now what's your name?
Candace Green.
Candace Green?
Yes.
And you run the whole building?
No, I'm. I don't run the building.
Come on, Candace. Have some fun, girl. I appreciate the whole perspective. Real quick, can you guys do us a favor? When somebody walks up, can you say your name and spell it for them? Yeah, when you get ready. Okay? We appreciate it.
All right, just let me know when.
We're on your schedule.
Okay. Well, hello, I'm P. Lee Houston. I'm the youngest sister of Dante Barksdale. This is my sister, Inwana Houston. She is the eldest sister of Dante Barksdale. My niece, Briera Barksdale. She is my eldest brother's daughter, Elvin Barksdale.
Hey Dylan, so we can't hear you. I think you gotta come close to the mic and speak a little louder.
Okay.
Is it? You were giving them your name?
Yes.
All right. Is this good? Can you guys hear me?
We always can hear you.
All right. We just got to project out a little bit so they can hear us.
Got you.
All the mics good? Thumbs up, everybody.
Thumbs up.
Everybody, thumbs up, no thumbs down. All right, we're going to get started soon. Okay, first and foremost, welcome everybody here today. This is an exciting day, I would say, the least, but also a day of remembrance and a day of ensuring that we keep a very strong legacy in our city for years to come. Is that, you guys hear that humming? Oh, there we go. Let's turn that down. Is that better?
Yeah.
All right, we're going to start that over a little bit. All right, so you guys, everybody good again?
Good again, Nick.
We sure? All right. All right, well, first and foremost, welcome today. I'm president of the Baltimore City Council, Nick Mosby. Today we're here for a joyous day as it relates to the introduction of this legislation, but also a day of remembrance, of a very strong name and a strong man in the city of Baltimore who was able to turn his pain into a passion and purpose and support young folks in the city. Tonight at tonight's City Council meeting, I will be introducing the Dante Barksdale Career Technology and Apprenticeship Fund. It's a non-lapsing trust to pay for Baltimore City students to receive education in skilled trades throughout our city school system. It was inspired by a tweet the last time I was in communication with Dante Barksdale, affectionately known as Tater. He reached out to me in late November with an idea, knowing that I was going to be the newly sworn City Council President, and said that he wanted to work on a job creation program. See, Dante Tater, he stood in the middle of violence reduction for the city, interrupting violence on a daily basis. But he understood and knew that all the work that he was able to do would not be sustainable as it relates to reducing violence without providing real opportunity to our young folks in the city. And that's exactly what he texted me and we talked about over text. We know that he dedicated his life to finding ways of preventing violence. Well, this fund is exactly here established to do just that. His life was an inspiration to not only all of us, but to generations that will come behind him. And that's why his name on this fund means so much. Imagine a young kid in East Baltimore having the opportunity of participating in the Dante Barksdale Career Technology and Apprenticeship Fund, and what that means to them to go through that strong name of Dante Barksdale. We have to be really intentional about connecting our young folks to the future of the city. When we talk about growing our city, when we talk about small businesses in our city, and we see all of the bids and all the jobs that come out from our city, it's really important that we start connecting those dots. And that's local jobs, local hiring, ensuring that Baltimore City residents have the opportunity to compete and fight and participate in those jobs. But more importantly, ensuring that our young folks are being properly prepared today for the jobs of tomorrow. And that's exactly what we're here standing in the legacy of Dante means. The legislation creates, again, a fund for workforce development programs to include critical apprenticeships. That means new money devoted to connecting our young folks, again, to those jobs. It requires companies awarded city contracts to contribute money based on the number of labor hours performed on that particular job. This legislation means new opportunity for city students to access to apprenticeships and a trajectory of success in life. These apprenticeships lead to jobs that pay good, living wage salaries, and it also provides our young folks with lifelong career paths, as well as chances at entrepreneurial opportunities like we're going to hear today from this amazing corporation. Research has shown that apprenticeships and CTE programs are critical equity strategies that can reduce social inequity and build economic mobility for our young folks. Students exposed to CTE programs are more likely to graduate from high school and enroll in 2 or 4 year post-secondary programs or gain employment. This legislation asks voters to approve a charter amendment to establish that fund. Again, this is new money and will be generated and goes directly into a lockbox until that fund is approved by the voters. Next up, I did not want to move forward without this legislation, without having the blessings of Dante's family. He loved our community greatly, but loved his family even more. There was not an opportunity you didn't get a chance to talk to Dante or Tater, and he would not communicate how proud he was of his family and connecting them to his family. So we asked the family to come stand with us today. We have his younger sister, Peely Houston. She will speak on behalf of the family. We also have his sister and his niece, Bree, here as well. So Peely, the mic is yours.
I'm sure I have to be brave today in my words, and it's kind of difficult, but I do know one thing that my brother stood for, as well as my mother and my family. Education is the bridge that binds our community. Education leads to cultural, spiritual, mental, and physical well-being. Whether we believe it or not, each is connected. And I believe that education in our community should be fostered and nurtured a little bit more for the better of our community. And I pray that this program is nurtured throughout the years in my brother's honor, and I'm very proud. Thank you.
Thank you, Peely. Again, thank you to Peely for speaking on behalf of the family. As you know, this is still new to all of the folks that love Tater in the community, but more importantly, his family. And I appreciate you guys standing here in his legacy. If this charter amendment goes through, Dante's name will forever be in Baltimore City Charter through this particular fund. Next up, I would like to introduce Mr. Gregory Malcolm. He's the owner of this establishment. We look forward to continuing partnership with him. We also have Morgan State professor Marvin Bennett, who's here today, not to speak, but just to be here in support, representing the School of Architecture and Planning. He's the part of network that will continue to build the next generation of young folks, not just as it relates to public employment, but also private employment. When we talk about Ironshore Contracting, again, owned by Mr. Gregory A. Malcolm, he's a Baltimore City kid, graduate of the Baltimore Polytechnic Institute, as well as Morgan State. He's owned this company and is committed to success of young people in the city, and he's already demonstrated that by hiring some of our young folks. We hope through this fund that will provide more young folks the opportunity in the future to do more. So without further, Mr. Malcolm, please come up.
Thank you, President Mosby. I would like to thank Baltimore City Public Schools as well as the City of Baltimore for this opportunity and this wonderful endeavor. As he mentioned, I am a product of Baltimore City. My path to success was faith, church, school, education. Those are my formulas: listening to my mother, staying out of trouble, and as mentioned earlier, opportunities aren't always presented to individuals in Baltimore and other cities. News tends to take a different angle sometimes. We are committed, however, to assisting every individual we can. 2 years ago, we made the conscious decision of moving our company into the city of Baltimore. We were instructed to do that by a former mayor of the city, and I at the time resisted it. However, in speaking with some of our employees, they could not get to work within less than 2 hours drive. We chose this location because it is literally a 2-minute walk to the closest bus stop. That being said, location is one avenue to the opportunity. I believe this is another vehicle that can be used to give young people hope, to give young people opportunities, as well as to allow them to become positive members of society. We work closely with the city public schools. We also work closely with Morgan State University. We have a minimum of 4 to 5 employees inside the office that are graduates of Morgan State. We have individuals in the field that are graduates of Polytechnic, as well as other Baltimore City public schools. That being said, one of those individuals is here today. His name is Khalil Thomas. He will be here to speak of his experience with Ironshore. Again, always here to give back to Baltimore. Definitely thank you to President Mosby on such an emotional day for the Barksdale family. Without further ado, here is Khalil.
Hello, hello. 3 floors, a deck, a fence, and a paint job. I have built a business concept called the Wooden Hookup that my trade revealed at the High School Choice Fair of 2019. I have refurnished and refinished 2 wooden antique tables for walk-in clients that paid me a stipend. Okay. I have attended a weekend getaway at Skills USA Leadership Fest in Ocean City. I have completed the Regional Skills USA Carpentry Competition as a sophomore. I have attended Thursday weekly apprenticeships, guest speaker sessions. I received a scholarship for driving education classes during the whole pandemic, and I had just got selected for apprenticeship at Urban Alliance. And thanks to my work ethic and thanks to my instructor, that list will always continue. But what I'm basically trying to say is that my trade has taught me in the past two years that I have learned my whole entire life. It has offered me a job that I will always look up to and I will always turn back to no matter what the situation is. My instructor, Alvin Bulls, I give it all to him, but he always told me, give it to the people that's in charge, because they're the one that offered the whole opportunity for you. But deep down in my heart, he's the one that actually got me interested into the trade. He the one that actually been on my heels since day one. Since I even joined the trade, he been on me like it's crazy. But it helped me to better myself as a man and as a human being. It's one thing that I will always offer to anybody that need it at any time. I'm representing Emerson Westside High School.
Everyone speak, right? So everyone had the opportunity of speaking. Again, this is just another example of the council's commitment to reimagining the importance of the city council. In the past, it was always really consistent that the council was focused on constituent services, and that's really important. But we're also there to develop the prescriptions of cure for the systemic issues that plagued our communities for far too long. We know that opportunities for young folks is a huge issue, and that's what we look forward to do with this legislation today. At this point, I'll take any questions specific to this piece of legislation. Yes?
Talk about how the partnership is going to work with Iron Shore, and are there other companies that you're currently partnering with also?
So Iron Shore is just an example of a local Baltimore-based business that has already shown an example of giving back. We know that the stronger the companies are in our city, the more likely we'll be able to put city residents to work. And through the commitment of this corporation, we've already seen a track record of trying to identify young talent and bring them on. This actual fund has absolutely nothing to do with the business. This fund is to provide the skill sets that Mr. Conway, Mr. Stokes, so we can continue to provide opportunities for Mr. Stokes. I always talk about this fact that inflation, when we look at the curve of inflation for the past 30, 40 years, public safety has significantly outperformed it. Education and youth services and programs for our young folks have underperformed it. We have to do more for our young folks. We're doing less today than what we were doing 20 and 30 and 40 years ago. And in the height of the pandemic, where we've seen the amount of violence, particularly as it relates to our young folks, that are not in school, that are not necessarily in productive environments, it kind of further shows us the importance of doing all that we can do to provide the best outcomes for our young folks. And that's exactly what this fund does.
Would the fund, could it be used to sponsor kids to come here for training?
That is not the intention. Oh, I'm sorry. If there was an apprenticeship program, potentially, yes. So it's for pre-apprenticeship programs. Clearly, it'll be the school that will be developing private-public partnerships, to your point. But as it relates to the individuals that were hired, they're two separate facts. Any other questions or concerns? There's no cost to the city. Any other questions?
Yeah, can you explain a little bit more about where the money's coming from?
Okay, so again, it's the contractor that has a city bid or has a city job. They'll basically pay a small fee for every labor hour into the fund. This is a program that is consistent on a state level. The state already has a similar program in place. We're just looking to do it on Baltimore City contracts for city students now.
So will that fund provide like transportation, or the fund be used for, I guess the question is, what will it be used for?
So it's a non-lapsing fund. It could be anywhere from transportation to capital costs associated with it. You know, a lot of times many of these trades take a lot of lumber, say for instance with carpentry. Other times it's really hard to secure certain parts or certain engines as it relates to from a mechanic shop perspective. So this fund is just there to, again, bolster the CTE program in here and provide young folks with access. And what we know is, you know, there's many young folks that are in our communities that have the characteristics to do well in these jobs, but they're just not introduced to them the way that they need to be. So we hope that this will connect young folks to non-traditional pipelines of employment. And we know the jobs that are coming down a pipeline in the city of Baltimore.
So if I'm a kid in the city, how do I find out about it?
It'll be at this point through the school system, just like you find out about the other CTE programs. That's the way the program will be rolled out. Again, you know, maybe this turns into a regional CTE building for after-school extracurricular type of activities. You know, there's really no limit to this, but it's definitely an exciting step in the right direction for our young folks to provide them access to opportunity. Any additional questions or concerns?
Sir, I have a question
Yes.
related to our Project Baltimore investigation.
Ma'am, right now we're only specifically talking about Be More Local Jobs in this. Definitely willing to give you an opportunity to talk after this is over. Does that make sense? Okay. Thank you. Are there any other questions or concerns? Yo, sure, yes.
I would like to say that companies such as Ironshore, and there are other, even I sit on boards, that we're always looking to raise money and to build the future of Baltimore through our citizens. We hire locally. The challenge is the training isn't there. So personally, Ironshore is paid out of pocket to train a Khalil, to train a Messiah, to train a future Mr. Scott. And so what we're looking at is if we could get some partnership with local government or perhaps maybe grants, that would allow our reach and our span to go even further. We could teach them more than just one way to success. Again, we offer avenues for people with higher education as well as those that choose, that says, hey, college is not for me. A company such as Ironshore Contracting gives an opportunity where an individual that is good with his or her hands can come and make a difference without having to make bad decisions. Thank you.
And again, I thought it was really, really important. You know, I talked about the text that, like Dante sent me, that kind of start this idea spinning in my head. And I thought it was really important for this day not to go without his family in attendance. His mother was able to make it. Again, as I stated to the family earlier, you know, with successful passage of this, Dante's name will be in city charter for the rest of Baltimore City's history. That means a lot. This is for something that he really cared about. I did not take his words in vain, and this is us putting it into action of something that he wanted in this city. Thank you. At this point, I think that there aren't any additional questions or concerns. All right, well, thank you guys so much for coming out. You guys want to come close for your Project Baltimore?
Give you one of my cards. I know you're
Oh,
probably.
yeah. I'll probably come in and holler at you a little bit. Oh, thank you so much, sir. Great job.
Thank you, sir. Glad to see you. I got to go and talk to somebody important.
extra payroll costs? Is there anything that you can get?
I don't think so.
All right, good.
I'll still grab your card.
Oh yeah,
just in case.
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to check with you since you're about to get an interview.
No, I think we're good.
Okay.
They did say, hey, if you wanted it, they said that you might be able to like go inside the building if you wanted it for like a VOSI. The principal said it. You don't have to, but they said that they would make it available.
Got it.